if you have felt intimidated by men and women talking of Bakhtin, Barthes, Foucault, Derrida and others in conference and seminar rooms, or if you have tried in vain to comprehend critical jargons like post-structuralism, post-colonialism, diasporization, and postmodernism, all you need to do is learn the secret mantra that can inspire you to exchange a lance or two with some of these gallant knights. That mantra is obscurity. A firm grounding in obscurity of thought and language can take you to higher altitudes of career advancement. Remember, posture can be as important as politics when it comes to the intelligentsia. In other words, it may be less important whether or not you like postmodernism than whether or not you can speak and write postmodernism. First and foremost, you must realize the inefficacy of using plainly expressed language. You cannot and should not use any simple language which others can follow. Postmodern language requires the use of play, parody, and indeterminacy as critical techniques to point this out. Often, this is quite a difficult requirement, so obscurity is a well-acknowledged substitute. For example, let's imagine you want to say something like, we should listen to the views of people outside of Indian society in order to learn about the cultural biases that affect us. Quite ordinary, and you would say, let us see what others have to speak. This is honest, but the language is dull and somehow doesn't fit into the postmodern paradigm. Instead of the word views, you would do well to use voices or better vocalities, or even better, multi-vocalities. Add an adjective like intertextual and you are covered. People outside is also too plain. How about post-colonial others? To speak postmodern with expertise, all you need is switch gears from plain clarity to complex obscurity so that you are able to mediate your identities also. Don't hesitate to use as many suffixes, prefixes, hyphens, slashes, underlinings, and anything else you can think of in order to make your presentation a grand success. Just throw in a few names whose work everyone will agree to be important, and hardly anyone has had the time or the inclination to read. Be careful. Don't you tread on familiar and indigenous grounds. Adopt the Western view. For the terminology used by European or American theorists are best when you are hunting for difficult material to navigate your way through postmodern, post-colonial space. It is rather ironical that the two world wars resulted in killing not only millions of people indiscriminately, but also in maiming and atrophying by default the innocent minds of the survivors into believing that everything, the story, the hero, even God, was fake. The perpetuation of this myth by intellectuals, lost in the darkening groves of academia, led to the negation of the pleasure principle that had hitherto informed the literature of all climes, from the days of Homer to the beginning of the 20th century. In spite of the proliferation of literary theories on a global scale that clouds the understanding of both life and art today, it is heartening to know that even highly acclaimed obscure writers are not unaware of the significance of a good story that appeals to the laws of our primary nature and is free from the imposition of all labels and signifiers like colonial, postmodern, or post-colonial. As a case in point, I would like to recall a passage from Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things. And in one attempt where I wanted to see, when I myself read Arundhati Roy's God of Small Things and found it not a very kind of a pleasure reading, I thought maybe I was not reading her the proper way. So I wrote to many scholars in US, England and other places, and they all agreed that if it is considered as a work of literature, it should not merit much attention because it doesn't provide the pleasures of reading that one looks for when you are studying literature. But the same Arundhati Roy, in one paragraph, which is probably connected distantly or maybe not connected at all to the novel, she writes some very beautiful lines which I often quote, and the lines are: the secret of the great stories is that they have no secrets. The great stories are the ones you have heard and want to hear again. They don't deceive you with thrills and trick endings. They don't surprise you with the unforeseen. They are as familiar as the house you live in or the smell of your lover's skin. You know how they end, yet you listen as though you don't. In the great stories, you know who lives, who dies, who finds love, who doesn't. And yet, you want to know again after such knowledge or documents. The editorial ends here. But, as I had expected, my editorial provoked a lot of responses from various readers of the journal. And I want to share those observations with you. I will not be mentioning the names of the readers and those who wrote back, but I think if you go to the Remarking website, this editorial and the responses, they are there on the previous issues section. You can access. One of the very well-known editors of a very famous journal based in US writes this: thank you for sharing your editorial, March 2016. You have dared to touch some delicate nerve points. Criticism, it must be recognized, painfully demands from all of us the utmost honesty and sincerity in saying the truth. I recall Mutraj Anand's predicament in his apology in recognizing the importance of humanistic value of truth, that true beyond rationalism. The tendency to conceal truth cannot be equated with the truth of the human condition. The Western idiom and Eastern thought have been at war. I have for years struggled to see Forster's meaning in the last few pages of a passage to India. Nibir, keep up the good work. The second reaction is from one of the big advocates of literary theory. And when you see his name, you will realize that he is engaged, I must say, mercilessly in propagating and promoting whatever I am talking about. He says, your editorial is indeed admirable and quite provocative for an advocate of literary theory like me. Seriously, though, I think you have raised a number of issues. How do we use theory in understanding literature and culture? This should be one of the major concerns of this course, and is, I think, considering the topics that I've seen. Instead of creating an arcane specialization to compete with technology, IT and business management, a knowledge over which a refusal of access to the uninitiated guarantee or expertise over the subject. I too am worried over the overuse of jargon and deliberate obscurity as signposts of profundity. I am currently burdened with a PhD student who searches the thesaurus for the most difficult, the most obscure word for expressing an idea that could have easily been expressed in more accessible terms. That is a major problem that I currently face. I am writing a book on disease and cultural identity on a fellowship from New York, and everything I write, I give to my wife to read. She's a housewife and has a master's in English. So I assume that whatever she doesn't understand needs to be rewritten and simplified. And believe me, it's really difficult to do it. It's so much easier to simply imitate the language and style of the masters within it. Your editorial also brings up, though indirectly, the question of how we teach theory to our students. If you are teachers, you need to learn theory, maybe to use in your own research. You need to teach theory to the students. How we teach theory to our students? Do we teach them to understand it? Or do we simply give them a sample of post-structuralism, post-colonialism, post-Marxism, post-feminism, etc. To simply pick up a few catchphrases and techniques here and there. In fact, there are so many questions your editorial raises that I am tempted to respond to it. Maybe this would be my first contribution to it. I also want to share another from a scholar in the US, a female this time. Here is my spirited response to your equally spirited editorial. I enjoyed reading and thinking about your writing. As an English American, liberal feminist, scholar, specializing in contemporary American short fiction by women writers, writing in a multicultural postmodern field, it It often astounds me that my fellow scholars try so hard to impress their peers by using as many obscure words from the OED, Oxford English Dictionary, as possible when composing articles. Like it or not, ours is a field that requires the dictionary be glued to one's hand at all times if a full understanding of the jousting that takes place between scholars is to be reached. The ability to apply theory to literature, or rather applying literature to theory, as seems to be the more usual case, is a well-born skill that one struggles to obtain. Scholarly discourse affords a paradoxical dilemma in which scholars should strive to make their work readable, while at the same time maintaining the veneer of respectability and aloofness that behooves even the most discriminated of readers and writers. Yes, obscurity empowers people to climb the mountain of career advancement. If I may borrow another metaphor from your editorial. However, what is the point of utilizing obscurity in our writing if all that is accomplished is pushing readers, scholars and students away due to intense density and verbosity? Why not use a more efficient means of communication and allow for a certain amount of simplicity? Don't be shocked. Simplicity is a harmless word. That will allow others further accessibility. Whatever happened to just enjoying literature and sharing our ideas and findings with others who are equally enamored by the joys of the written word? Maybe we should all take a step back. No. Make that 2 steps back and just read a book or a poem for the sake of reading. Let's enjoy art for art and not read something to search for the latest and greatest breakthrough in literary theatre. Those breakthroughs will become apparent through reading. Let's apply our reading to our theories and not the other way. These are some of the reactions that was evoked by my editorial. Would anyone like to react?